Good evening. Welcome to the regular City Council meeting of August 3rd, 2015, 7:30. We call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Let's please stand and pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All individuals are asked to either silence or turn off cell phones, pages, or other electronic devices that may disrupt the meeting. Approve the agenda as posted in accordance with the open meeting law, and here I'll place all agenda items on the table for discussion. What's the wish of the council?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Alderman Hercog to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Copy of the minutes for the special work session meeting of July 20th, 2015 and the regular meeting of July 20th, 2015 are enclosed. What's the wish of the council?
Move to approve.
So moved.
We got a motion by Councilman Knopfler and second by Councilman Boyan to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the bills. Mr. Gosiak.
Page 1, please. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6.
I just had a question. What's MESCRB?
NESR, it's the Minnesota Economic or Environmental Science and Economic Review Board. If they do legislative lobbying for water and wastewater. Thank you.
Page 7. And page 8. Totals are on page 9 I make a motion to approve checks 92,285 through 92,391 for $1,073,860.15.
Second. Motion by Councilman Gosiak and second by Councilman Hansen to approve the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards, donations, presentations, proclamations. Presentation of distinction representative Ron Frisha. Got a letter here that says, "Dear Representative Frisha, on behalf of all 832 cities, member cities, I want to thank you for your efforts in the past legislative session and to recognize you as a League of Minnesota Cities Legislator of Distinction for 2015. League staff and members of city officials appreciate your accessibility and your consultation with us on the legislation affecting cities. Your work as a chief author for legislation that provided broadband grant fund for local units of government and other entities is appreciated. Also, we value your leadership on legislation, increasing legislative oversight of state agency regulatory rule developments, along with your demonstrated commitment to the city perspective through organizing testimony. Our members know that in order to be successful in serving our own constituents, state and city officials must work together as partners to reach solutions that meet the unique needs of rural, suburban, and urban communities all across Minnesota. City leaders also understand that without the support of legislative officials like you, the state-local partnership would not be possible. To acknowledge your contributions last session, mayors of each city in your legislative district will receive notification of your recognition. A press release will also be issued to media in your city. City officials and league staff look forward to continuing to work with you in the future."
Mr. President, I had called Mr. Frisha and asked him if he would attend this evening, and personally would like to thank him, and I'd like to shake his hand if he'd come up here and shake everybody's hand. I'd appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Sure.
That's good. Well, thanks, Dan. I'm going to give I think you have your certificates. Yeah. All right. You need me for
No, just thanks for all your work on the broadband and everything else. That's great recognition. Thank you.
I know we'll be coming back. We've got a couple more bills, so I don't know if you want me to address. I can leave comments, or we can do it separately. What would you like?
He's president.
It's up to you. If you got a couple quick, that's fine.
Sure. So I'll just give you a quick update. As you know, LGA is important. It's one of the things that we'll be continuing to fight for. And one of the big challenges we have is a rural metro fight over the dollars. So I was happy to keep those intact and what we did there. The broadband, we did $10 million. In fact, I've got to run down to Farm Fest tomorrow and do some more presentation on it. We're going to try to push that up again and continue to work on that. Little Falls is doing okay, but our surrounding communities and what it affects the hospitals and the schools is pretty important. And then many people probably don't realize what the rulemaking bill that I pushed, and I'll be back at the table with that again. And I think this is really important for cities, because what happens is when we do legislation and we put a bill into place and it becomes law, that is then turned over to the executive branch for implementation. And sometimes their implementation and interpretation is not exactly what we intended. And so if an agency takes one of our statutes, interprets it in a way that has substantial economic impact adversely than we designed for a city especially, and oftentimes it can be for businesses, but cities see this a lot, that can be put back into a review process to allow us to have one more chance at that and reviewing that before it goes into implementation. As you know, oftentimes you'll just get a rule handed down to you that says this is what you have to do, or this is the impacts, and a lot of times we're unraveling those. So yeah, so thank you very much. The letter was very nice, and I appreciate the recognition. I don't know if you have any questions for me. You have a lot to cover, but I really appreciate it. Greg, thanks for the call. It meant a lot.
I think we should be good.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ron.
Thanks for all your work.
2014 Police Department Annual Report. Chief?
Mr. President and Council, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to present the 2014 Annual Police Report. 2014 was a pretty good year for us. Our general calls for service were up to 7,161 calls. The overall crime rate in 2014 was 6,496 compared to 2013, which was 6,866, so it dropped slightly. Part 1 and Part 2 crimes cleared by arrest in 2014 was 76%, which is substantially high. In the report, I tried to present just a general overview of pretty much every area that affects the department and technology and different things we've implemented over the years. I won't review all of it, but I will go back to page 16. Again, just a comparison back to 2003 to 2014. You can see the calls for service in 2003 were 5,432, and now we're at 7,161. It climbed pretty gradually through that time. There is a lot more demand in our services, but we're doing well handling those requests and demands for service. The crime rate this year again, 6,497. That's down substantially. If you look back over, again, 2003 was 11,820. So that's good as well. And then on page 18, you can see back to 2001, the crime clearance rates, again, pretty high at 76%. If you have questions regarding that information, you can look at page 6, just the glossary of terms, and that kind of explains what those graphs mean. The arrest rate, cleared by arrest, index, crime index, the crime rate, Part 1 and Part 2 crimes, and then exceptional clearance. Do you have any questions about the content? I know it's a long read. There's a lot of information there. Any questions about any of it?
Mr. President, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I just think it's interesting to see some of these that are at all-time highs, and as far as calls for police service at an all-time high, and but our crime rate is actually at an all-time low. And if you look at the percentage of crime clearance, it's at an all-time high. And if you compare us to the chart of all the other cities, there's only one community with a higher crime clearance rate. I spoke in the work session about the quality of our fire chief and our fire department. I would say the same thing regarding our police department in a time when police departments all over the United States are always in the news, sometimes good, sometimes bad, always tragic. I think we're extremely fortunate to have the quality of protection that we have from our chief of police and the way he runs the department, and the quality of staff that we have on our police department. So thank you.
Thank you. You else got any questions for Greg?
How's the prescription pill program working? Pretty good.
Very well. You know, we take back a very high volume. We were taking it back or disposing of it annually through the DA program. Generally that was in April. Now we try to do it monthly or every other month because of the volume that we get. And we do that in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office, peers, and I believe maybe Upsala and Wrangell. So it's very popular. It's really a good program for the community as a whole for the county.
And you know, Greg was saying that you have more calls now, to me, that shows people trust in you, that they can call and depend on you. If they didn't, they wouldn't be calling.
I have a real strong sense of community support. It's been strong. We get a lot of information, people calling with general crime information, or, we're there just to help. People have questions, we're there to help. So.
Thank you.
One of the items that came up in the work session talked about the ordinance, about the electronic speed signs and what's the status of those are.
We have the one that the city purchased. I have it in my office. I've been having some difficulty getting it to link with the Bluetooth connection on my computer. So I've been working with owner to get that resolved. And as soon as I get that resolved, I can activate the software. There are certain settings and parameters the sign has to be set to. And as soon as that's done, I can get that sign up and running. So I'd like to have it done this week. We do have some other signs coming from NJPA. That's a countywide project. I believe Morrison County will get 6 signs. They'll be shared with other jurisdictions in the community, so we'll have access to other signs as well. So,
Be nice to have it ready before school starts.
yes, it will be out before school starts. Yep.
Anybody have any questions for the chief? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Building Department reports, June 2015 received. Economic Development Authority minutes, July 2015 received. Housing and Redevelopment Authority minutes, June 2015 received. Library Board minutes, May 2015 received. National Joint Powers Agreement amendment approved. Seasonal Golf Course employee Mike Casellas appoint. Wastewater Treatment Facility report, June 2015 received. What's the wish of the council on the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Got a motion by Councilman Gosiak and second by Councilman Lildergren to approve the consent agenda. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Public hearings and lettings. We've got a public hearing on resolution 2015-65, adopt final assessment rule, public improvement 373, 2015 improvement projects. Adopt. 7:46, we'll open the public hearing.
We do have a copy of the notice of the assessment hearing publication, as well as the affidavit of mailing to the various property owners. Included on page 13 with your resolution is the assessment roll and the various property owners that the mailing notice was sent to. So this is the public hearing for the 2015 improvement projects, city project number 373. The locations that we're looking at here, we'll start with 5th Street Northwest, between 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue. The improvements on that stretch was a full depth reconstruction of pavement, including curb and gutter. There was a 32-foot wide street, curb to curb with a 7-ton pavement section, typical for our residential streets. We installed the storm sewer and then restored the boulevards and driveways in kind. If you recall in that section, sanitary sewer and water was already installed, but the residents petitioned, I believe it was 69% of the residents petitioned to get the street blacktopped as well as storm sewer installed. The other segment of our 373 project is 1st Street Northwest. You'll recall last year we did between Broadway and 1st Avenue. This is the depot. This year we extended it 1 additional block to the north. We installed sanitary sewer, water, and some additional storm sewer structures on that segment. It was a full depth reconstruction, 36 feet wide due to the commercial area. It was a 9-ton pavement section just because of the commercial traffic going in through there. We added some additional storm sewer catch basins to handle the runoff. We reconstructed the sanitary sewer and extended the water main and services to the various properties, along with restoration of the boulevards and driveways. Looking at 3rd Street Northeast, we extended the project from First Avenue to Third Avenue. Last year, we constructed one block between Third and Fourth Avenue, and so this kind of connected the two sections. The Carnegie Library is down on the south end, and then we connected those two portions to make that stretch all new. In that stretch, we had sanitary sewer main replacement, water main replacement. We included a raw water main line as well as the storm sewer replacement on that stretch as well. We had a complete full depth reconstruction of the pavement, including curb gutter, sidewalk. You'll notice we had a 32-foot wide street, curb to curb, as well as a 7-ton pavement section. With the reconstruction of the storm, sanitary sewer, water main, and the services to the property for those. Restoration of the boulevard and the driveways were in kind. So if they had concrete driveways, we put a concrete back. If they had blacktop driveway, we put blacktop back. One thing to note, we also added that one block of future raw water main to extend that down. Now it's between 4th and 2nd. Preparing for the future as sections get reconstructed, we'll add that into it to make sure that we get to our future well field down by the fire hall. Looking at the DeRosier Drive portion of it, you'll recall we ordered that in about a month ago. We opened bids this morning. We haven't had a chance to pull together a recommendation on that, but it is included with our 373 project. The improvements is going to be on that section is 8-inch sanitary sewer for roughly that first 1,000 feet. Sewer services will be stubbed out to the property line. We'll install an 8-inch water main. That's at a 6-inch cost. If you recall, looking at this portion of it, when the extension happens up to Mississippi Boulevard, a 6-inch water main would be sufficient, but because we have a dead end, so to speak, that's about 1,000 feet to provide sufficient fire flow, we need to go to the 8-inch size in order to get enough flow through there in the event there's a fire within that section. So we installed an 8-inch, but knowing that a 6-inch would suffice, we felt it only fair to the residents to assess them at the 6-inch cost. Water services will be stubbed out to the property lines. The section will be reconstructed with a 24-foot rural section with the ditches handling the stormwater runoff events. And our typical section for rural is a 5-inch aggregate base with 2 inches of bituminous pavement on top. Looking at the cost implications for the project, the engineer's estimate for construction was at roughly a little over 1.2 million. The projected final, once we've got the projects in place, we're looking at almost $1,050,000, contingency of $35,000, which was less than what we originally estimated, and the engineering, legal and fiscal notice is considerably less. So original estimate was about 1.6 million, based on construction, contingency, and engineering all being lower than we anticipated. We're at about over $1.1 million, but considerably less than what we had originally planned for. Now, you'll note through the last trip down there, we did use the engineer's estimate for DeRosier Drive, just because we opened bids this morning. We didn't have time to necessarily update the cost estimates. The bids came in less than what we were estimating, so those numbers will still drop slightly from where they're at now. So that's a good sign. Looking at the project funding, the assessments come in just over at 36%. We're looking at 36.7, with a total of $413,545.10. City picking up the remainder share, which is about 63.3%. So we're at $714,434.90 for the city, for a total cost of $1,127,980. Looking at the assessment rates in the residential areas, we've got curb and gutter front footage at 36 foot at $40 a foot. 32-foot residential is $37 for a front and $18.50 for side footage. Rural section, 24-foot wide. Front footage assessment is at $20 with the side footage looking at $10. Sanitary sewer is at $30 with the sanitary sewer replacement. That's if they already have sanitary sewer in place, is at $18 per foot. Service lines are at $800 for a 4-inch and $1,000 per service line for a 6-inch, with a replacement cost of $550 per sanitary sewer service line. Looking at the water main, we're at $30 per foot for water main. The replacement cost for water main is at $21 per foot. Water services, they're at $1,200 and $1,900 respectively for a 1-inch and 6-inch, and a 1-inch replacement cost is at $650. Looking at the assessment rates for storm sewer in residential areas, we're looking at 15 cents per square foot of lot. Reason for that, you'll notice this is different than the commercial rates. Normally a residential lot has more green space than a commercial area. They don't have as large parking lots and such. For the commercial reconstruction projects, the assessment rates on curb and gutter and bituminous surfacing, I should say commercial, is at $55 per front foot. Sanitary sewer replacement is at $18. The sanitary sewer line for a 6-inch is at $550. Water main is at $30 per lineal foot, with a 1-inch service line at $1,200, and you'll notice the storm sewer commercial is at 25 cents per square foot. For the special assessments, we're looking at an interest rate of 5%. The term is 15 years. The assessments are payable in equal annual installments, and there's no interest charged if the entire assessment is paid within 30 days from assessment rule adoption. The special assessments, you may at any time pay for all or a portion of the unpaid amount to the city administrator, with interest accrued through the end of the year. If you pay after October 31st, interest will be charged through December 31st of the following year. So October 31st is kind of the date that you want to look at in terms of if you're going to be paying out portions of that ahead of time. Looking at deferment, property owners who are disabled or meet income guidelines and are 65 years of age or older may apply for a deferment. They need to contact City Hall to apply for that process, but we do have that in place if they meet income guidelines. Any questions?
Is there any part in here about, we talked with the earlier part being deferred until they would hook up?
Yep. And I
don't remember seeing that.
I probably skipped over that down here. Similar to in 2003, when we did the Riverwood extension going up north into Riverwood area, we are recommending deferring the assessments on DeRozier Drive until the property owners hook up. We recognize that those property owners along there put forth the expense to install their well and septic system. And until they need to hook up to city water and sewer, we're looking at deferring those assessments until they hook up, and then they would become due at such time with the interest rate and payment. So you got 15 years as well as the 5% starting at that point in time.
Doesn't that need to be in here somewhere though?
How have we handled that on the Riverwood? Do you remember?
Yeah, the council should have voted on that. But was that in the resolution when they ordered a new project that we would defer the assessments?
I believe it was, yeah.
I think we'll check on that.
Yeah.
Now, the interest would accrue on that assessment during the time period that it was deferred, is that correct?
No, it does not.
It would not?
It would not, no.
So that a $12,800 assessment on DeRozier 10 years from now would still be $12,800?
It would still be that same amount, correct?
Okay, it talks about a 5% per year interest on the unpaid balance here. If that were true, that $12,800 would become $20,850 after 10 years.
The 5% is from when it's certified on the tax roll. So once it's certified on the taxes, that's when the 5% starts.
So it wouldn't start until they connect.
That's correct. It will not start until they connect.
That's just for the deferred.
That's just for the deferred, yes.
Can we do this part when we haven't even voted to accept the bid for one of the projects yet?
We can. You have to open the bids, which we opened them this morning, and so we do have that portion in place. Now, the assessments can always go down from here, but they can't go up. So we're still okay if for whatever reason the council decides not to award the bid, then those portions would not be assessed. So for instance, on DeRozier Drive, if we decide not to do that project, those would not be assessed at that point. and you wouldn't have to necessarily go through the process. But we can assess it because we've opened the bids already on it. It's still allowed in the Chapter 429 process.
It would seem to me that we should send out the bill after the work is completed. And if we don't know for sure what it's gonna cost before we begin, it's difficult for me to understand how we can establish specific assessments for various lots.
Well, looking at, because we have the rate in place already, you know, we have a rate policy in place for projects. So it's a set rate for our residential and commercial projects. We know how much the assessments are going to be. It's just a matter of how much is the city going to be paying for it. So the rates are already set. You set them every year in January when you set the rate policies. So those are already in place. And this, by doing the work, doing the resolution tonight, that gives property owners additional time to be able to pay for the assessments. If they so choose to pay them off early, then they can do that, or as opposed to waiting till later on in the year to be able to pay for it.
Said they have 30 days to pay it once we approve it. So if we don't approve it for a month, then 30 days don't start until then, correct?
That's true. You know, the other thing to keep in mind is that October 31st timeframe. So we have to make sure that we get it into the county for assessments, certification to the tax rolls.
Any other questions?
I don't know if I don't understand something, but I still don't understand why we don't wait until we have all the projects approved.
This gives property owners along there, if they so choose to prepay, this gives them a little bit more time to pay that off. And because it's all wrapped into one project, once we do the assessment process or the assessment hearing, because it's included in that 373 project, it's all done at one point in time.
Well, like you said, we know how much the residents will charge.
We know how much the residents are going to charge, yes. And we do have a contingency in there for the city's portion of it. $35,000 plus whatever was less than the engineer's estimate when we opened bids. So we should be covered in that respect.
But the homeowner, that price will never go up. I mean, if the rate goes up for installing water or sewer.
Correct.
That price will never go up. I mean, if it is another project and it was higher, they would still be.
They would still be at that same rate.
Price of words.
So if, as Lauren said, if there was a $12,000 assessment, it's still going to be $12,000.
Because the unit price, if you look at all the assessments, the unit price stays the same. That ain't gonna change no matter what the bid is.
That's right.
And this was all set a while back.
Our rates are set January of every year. Yep.
And we did some adjusting this last year, which actually made it better for the homeowners.
For some, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else got any other questions before I open it to the public? Rick?
It's just time for the
Yep, I'll open it up for public input. Individuals are asked to come to the podium and keep their comments within 2 minutes. Name and address.
My name is Keith Elbaum. I live at 302 Northeast 3rd Street on the project. 25 years ago, I had a short career in real estate. As part of that career, I had to learn that special assessments had rules. One of those rules that I learned was that you cannot assess, an assessment can't be any more than the increase in the property value. And what I see in my situation is that my property value has not gone up, and therefore a $9,000 assessment would seem to be not in sync with the rules for property assessments. I know 25 years ago is a long time ago. I have a document here from 2008 that reviews all that, and
I guess I'd appreciate some response to what is going on with special assessments. Should also point out that I didn't have any problem with my water, sewer, or sanitary storm sewer. And so, you know, the project is done, the money is spent, but I don't think that I gained a whole lot of value from what happened there. I'm also a little concerned that the road is now narrower than it was when we started, and several of the neighbors have suggested to me that it's going to be a little more difficult going up and down the street and backing into the driveway and whatever. That's my position.
Thanks, Keith. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak? Third and final call. Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none, close the public hearing at 8:05. What's the wish of the council on resolution 2015-65?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gosiak, second by Councilman Hansen, to approve resolution 2015-65, adopt final assessment rule, public hearing, or public improvement 373. Discussion?
Greg, do you have a comment on the question as far as the assessments versus value?
Yeah, a couple of Keith's comments there in terms of the road being narrower. We did narrow it down. The street north of that is a 36-foot wide road, and that was kind of the standard before my time. What I started looking at it is based it off of ADT. So we look at how much traffic is traveling on the various roads to determine how wide a road should be. On 3rd Street in that segment, there's not a lot of traffic in through there, which based the need for a narrow road essentially. Looking at the amount of the assessments, when reviewing our costs for the assessment, we believe that the assessments are comparable to the increase in property value. We looked at how much each of those particular improvements cost in 2014 to give suggestions on what our 2015 rate should be. And so that's how that is all derived, and we believe that the amount is comparable to what the increased value is for the property.
And one of the reasons for doing the street was because the infrastructure is starting to get pretty old.
Yeah, if you recall, I actually have the PowerPoint here from it. Back in February, when we looked at this segment, the sanitary sewer was actually installed in 1915. And if you look at the issues that we've been having in terms of the pipe was sagging, it was underwater. I think there was a couple of areas that were more than 6 inches underwater, so the sanitary sewer was actually, the camera was underwater completely. You couldn't see it. The water main was cast iron, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was from 1915. The road was in very poor condition. But the biggest thing was the sanitary sewer. We were starting to see issues, with stuff plugging the pipe. That's where solids tend to sit. The pipes were cracked, roots were coming into the sewer. You can see up in the upper right-hand corner there, where that's a service where the roots are completely full in the service line. So the need was definitely there for this street. Based on the age of the sewer and the age of the water and the condition of the road, it warranted being reconstructed.
I was just reading an article about the storm that came through, and the city knew that the sanitary sewer system was bad. They weren't doing anything about it. And because of this, it didn't work, failed, destroying a lot of some residential property. There's a lawsuit involved. So sometimes in these instances, you have to take that into consideration and make sure that everything's functional. And I might have to go down there and fix it beforehand, so.
Could I make one more comment?
It's closed to the public right now. Thank you though. Any other questions or concerns?
Where's the language about the deferral? I guess I want to make sure that's in there before we go any further.
We can add it to this resolution before it gets signed. When you make your motion to approve the resolution, if you would just add in there that the DeRozier Drive assessments would be deferred similar to that of Belle Prairie until the residents connect, we'll make sure that it gets changed in the resolution when it gets signed.
I'm gonna redo my motion then and make that motion directed toward what Lori just stated, that the deferment is added to it. And we'll go along with that.
Modify your second.
Second.
Any other discussion? We got a motion by Councilman Gosiak, second by Councilman Hansen, for resolution 2015-65, adopt final assessment rule.
This does not include DeRozier?
Includes everything.
Does.
It includes,
DeRozier Drive with the deferment of the assessments until hooked up, similar to Riverwood.
so there's no change in the motion.
There is a change in a motion to add the deferment to it because it was not added originally. And Mr. Hercog was concerned about that, so I changed my motion and added the deferment on DeRozier Drive.
So it'll be similar to the Belle Prairie area was.
I guess I would still like to see it taken care of after the fact.
Any other discussion? Resolution, call the roll, please.
Boyan,
No.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes.
Antler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gosiak,
Yes.
Knopfler,
Yes.
Resolution carries. Lettings, Voter Street Department, authorized. Craig?
Yeah, included in your packet is a request to replace our current loader at the street department. The current one that we own is a 2002 Caterpillar loader, has just about 8,000 hours on it, and we're looking at replacing that with a new Caterpillar. It's a slightly smaller model in terms of the model size. We're going to a 930 versus a 938. But in terms of the horsepower and the capacity of the bucket, we're looking at an equivalent piece of equipment. The Ziegler has indicated that we will have a trade-in value of $40,500 for that piece of equipment, but we do have the option of selling it outright up until the day of delivery of our new piece of equipment. So tonight, we'd be looking at approval to purchase a new loader with either a trade-in of $40,500 or selling it outright, whichever is greater in terms of the price of our current loader. I will point out that we do use the loader basically almost on a daily basis, and it's starting to show signs of wear based on the corrosive materials that we use with it, both at the salt shed as well as at the wastewater treatment plant. It's been a good loader for us. It's been 13 years, but it's starting to show its age and its hours, and it'd be beneficial to the city and wise to sell it while we still can get some money for it as opposed to waiting.
Did we look into a lease option at all on that?
We did not. We can, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good fit for the city. With this, we've had it for 13 years already. It's my opinion we probably have the next one for about another 13 years. Leases, I don't know how long those have gone. Do you know, Lori?
usually 5 years.
5 years.
I'm just looking, we're spending $1,000 a month, so we have some kind of idea on at least keep the road, just keep it in rotation. Type deal. I don't know.
We can look at
If I
it.
could get at least $1,000 a month on a loader or not. I don't know.
I'm doubtful.
Do they ever take these loaders in and recondition them? Like you were saying, there's wear in certain areas. So there's an outfit out there that you take it in and
It's kind of like a car, you know, when it gets to a point where things are starting to wear out, you know, you don't know what part is going to wear out at that time. You know, if you think about it like with a car, you got 200,000 miles on it, you don't know what's going to go first, but it's at a point where you could start pouring money into it and not know what to fix until it's broken.
all of us have done.
Yeah, and with us using this pretty much on a daily basis, we really can't, especially in the winter time, we can't afford not to have it up and running.
Any other questions?
Dan, I hate to put you on the spot, but you've been at this for a long time. Is that typical to lease something like a loader? Have you done that in?
To lease them?
Yeah.
No, we haven't. Generally, we haven't leased. They last, you know, for a longer period of time normally than you have them for the lease. But we just bought a new one at the other community I'm working in, same deal. They're expensive. It was a little newer. I think the trade-in was about $77,000, and we put it up for bids too. We got a little more than what Ziegler ended up coming back, but it was get a pretty good price. And we did have a transmission went out of this thing a couple years ago already. So I mean, it's starting to show some signs. You get some rusting going on now on the cab. So it's it's getting.
I did if I can, Mr. President, I did a little research on this when I saw it in the packet, and I have a background, not so much heavy equipment, but commercial vehicles, and so I know the figures on this stuff, and it's my opinion this thing is in the sweet spot to move right now. It doesn't have major problems. It has a 3126 Caterpillar engine in it. At 8,000 hours, if you factor that a vehicle averaging 50 miles an hour, we're talking about something that has the equivalent to 400,000 miles on it. And those engines can go longer than that, but it's not likely to double. So I can tell you the last remanufactured heavy diesel truck engine that I priced out was $26,000, and that's not with labor, that's just the engine. So, and you don't get that back. So if we keep this one and the engine goes out, that engine I'm speaking of was a little bit bigger, but it's in the 20s, and you're not going to get your money back out of it.
So to get rid of that one, we have to declare a surplus then and put it on index overall?
If we move forward with this purchase of the new loader, then at your next meeting, we would declare it surplus. We would put it out for bids, see what we can get on it, you know, trying to sell it ourselves. If we can't get anything more than that $40,500, then we would trade it into CAT once they deliver the machine to us. But we have some time to find a buyer for our current loader at more than this price. And I think we can get more than that for it.
What kind of delivery time are you looking at?
When we talked to them last time, they were looking at about 16 weeks. So we're looking at about 3 months worth, 3 or 4.
Mr. President, Lori, have we budgeted for this? Is there money in the equipment fund for?
We budgeted just over 111,000, so this is a little bit more than what we budgeted.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Greg, did you check on the mileage? Are we going to have to pay mileage to get this thing delivered?
If we have them delivered, we would. For $450, I'm not proposing that we have them deliver it. That's too high. If we wanted to have it delivered, we could hire either a local hauler to deliver it, or we could have somebody actually drive it from Brainerd down to here. But we would probably just have somebody else pick it up and deliver it for us.
Corey, when we budgeted for that, do you take into consideration how much we were getting for our existing loader and?
Yeah, we budgeted $111,000, a little over that, for replacement in this calendar year.
But the cost, like, we're gonna get 40-some, 50,000 for,
Right, but so the,
does that take it into account?
the 119,000
Takes that into
takes
account.
that into
Okay,
account.
okay.
So if we get more, we could be right at the 119.
True. Or 111.
Or 111.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to get at, right there.
Any other discussion? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gosiak, second by Alderman Hurkacz. To approve purchase of a loader not to exceed $119,130 with a $40,500 trade-in to Ziegler off the state bid. Yes, Clark?
Can we do the motion for the 159,630 less the trade-in?
Okay.
That way, if we end up selling it outright, we still have the motion for the 159,630. And then can we add delivery to it, plus delivery? So if we end up hiring somebody else to deliver it, or however we end up doing that, it's all covered in the motion. You can always spend less money, but it's harder to come back and spend more.
They won't deliver it to $160,000.
We can add $450 for them to deliver, but 30 miles seems excessive for $450.
If you know how to drive it.
I don't, but I would guess top speed on that thing is probably about 20 miles an hour, huh?
Close to 30.
If you drive a car, you can drive a loader.
Could do it in an hour and a half, easy.
I'm not against the driving option. I mean, most of that you can hit a service road.
So, Frank, on your motion, that's fine?
Yes, it is.
159,630
Add delivery.
plus delivery?
9,000, yes.
Yes.
Motion by Councilman Gosiak, second by Alderman Hurkacz, for the purchase of the loader from the state bid for $159,630 plus delivery from Ziegler. Any other discussion?
And it's trade-in.
Less the trade.
That's great.
Less to trade or outright sale. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Old business, wastewater treatment facility plan, hire SEH. Consider, Greg, tabled on 720.
Yeah, if you recall, at your last meeting, we tabled this item until tonight. You requested me to get some additional information in terms of other pricing from other communities. I included the table in the agenda memo to the council with 3 of the most recent projects that SEH had completed facility plans for. You'll notice that they're all roughly the same price in terms of, well, I should say, same design flow in terms of their plant capacity, and the price per gallon, if you will equate it to per gallon cost, they're all in that 2 to 3 cents range for the facility. Generally, the facility plans range from anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 worth for this size plant. I did also talk with Brainerd Public Utilities because I knew that they recently reconstructed their plant, did a big expansion plant up there. For their plant, it's almost twice the size of ours. They're at 6 million gallons per day. Ours is at 2.4 million gallons per day. But in 2004, when they did their expansion, they were a little over $100,000 for their facility plan. So we, backing that into that same type of equation for a facility plan, they were at 1.67 cents per gallon. And as you can imagine, the bigger the plant, the economy of scale, it's going to drop. So looking at our fee of $56,500, which equates to just over 2.3 cents per gallon, the fee for the facility plan is in line where it should be. If you recall, we've had a number of expansions at our treatment plant. And this is kind of the first step at looking at what is the best route, looking forward kind of with our crystal ball on what the MPCA is going to be doing for wastewater treatment for the city of Little Falls.
So Greg, hasn't SEH done most of our work on our wastewater and water treatment plants?
They've done most of our work on our water treatment plant. They've done some work at our waste plant. More recently, in terms of the SIU agreement, significant industrial user agreement with the ethanol plant. We used to have, HDR do some stuff with our master plan back in 2010. They did an okay job, but we kind of went separate ways. I think it was in 2011 when we kind of split from them.
Did we get burnt or something by them? Some bunch of bad stuff?
Yes. And so we've kind of looked at SEH to kind of fill that role for us since that point. One other note, if you have any specific questions on the facility plan or what would be included in that, I did invite Colin Markson from SEH to meet with us tonight. If you have anything specific or want to just hear him speak, you can definitely ask him to give a little spiel if you want.
I think he's here, he should get up there and give us a...
Why not? Good evening, I'm Colin Markson, I'm with SEH. First of all, I want to apologize that I wasn't able to attend last month's meeting. Couldn't find a babysitter fast enough, really, is what it came down to. The main driver for this facility plan is the MPCA bringing down some pretty stringent phosphorus limits and likely future nitrogen limits on the City of Little Falls plant. As Greg said, what we're trying to do is do a full study to see what the best means of meeting that phosphorus limit is going to be. If we expand or improve the current facility or build an entirely new facility or do something completely different like a pond. The point of the study is to do a complete analysis of what the cost over a 20-year period would be and equate those to a present day dollar amount. So we can compare apples to apples. So do you have specific questions on the plan or the scope?
So in essence, you're going to come back with probably the most cost-effective way to do this.
Correct. And what we like to say is when we're done with the facility plan, we'll be at about a 20% preliminary design.
I know the last group were mentioning that did this, they had a big change in leadership and we got caught in the middle of it. Things didn't happen correctly. SEH is pretty stable.
Correct.
I think that's an important thing.
I'm not going anywhere.
Except watching your kids.
Right. Yep.
Lori or Greg, just for clarification, requirements as far as, there was some discussion about putting it out for bid or whatever. Requirements on projects as far as dollar amounts and everything else, as far as having to go out for bids. Could you
Professional
clarify?
services are exempted from the bidding law, so when we hire out a professional service, we aren't required to go out and get bids for that.
Thank you.
And what's important is you mentioned phosphorus and nitrogen. We have to comply. It's good if we get going on this as soon as possible. Not wait till the end.
So what's the wish of the council on hiring SEH to do the wastewater treatment facility plan?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilman Waldron to hire SEH at a fee of $56,500 to complete the wastewater treatment facility plan. Is there any other discussion?
I wasn't around in 2010, so did this HDR, did they come up with a plan at all, or?
They had a master plan for waste treatment plant, but they also looked at our water plant as well, and kind of gave an overview of the entire system of what needed to be done. They said, you know, between 2015 and 2020, you're going to need to do an upgrade at the plant for nitrogen. Didn't really get into the facility plan requirements, so it kind of gave us an idea where we're going, but it didn't fit all the requirements that the MPCA has for a facility plan. It did identify some of the issues that we have, and we are aware of them. But again, it didn't fit the requirements that the MPCA has for a facility plan.
If I remember right, they were just starting to show us different facilities, different ways to do it, kind of making us aware there wasn't just one cut and dry way, and they're anticipating the state coming down with new regulations.
Right.
We didn't get too much further than that.
And I would see this time around, you know, depending on which route that we go, we'll probably look at some different facilities at the various, at other communities to see, you know, what type of a facility plan we want to go with. Because obviously there's pros and cons to each different type of facility. And before we make that decision, it's good to actually visit those sites and see what the operators have to say, what's good, what's bad, what they like, what they don't like, so we can make an informed decision on how to move forward.
So would SEH be doing that?
We can, in terms of the tours and such?
In terms of just finding out what's the best?
Yes,
You
yes.
know, we're going around checking all these plants. What do we need SEH for?
It's beneficial to actually see them and actually, you know, see, do they smell, don't they smell, that type of a thing. In terms of the travel and stuff, we'll have to work that out in terms of getting there. But yes, the coordination for that can be done.
Our person in charge, Greg, how long is he going to be with us?
Me?
No, I
Gillis. There's too many Gregs, so we gotta clarify.
Okay, sorry.
I have not heard of a retirement date for Greg yet.
Because what would be nice if who's ever in charge of the plant was on board with this.
I will still be bugging Greg even if he retires after this is going. He's been there way too long and has too much knowledge not to look at his advice.
So Greg, are we currently buying credits or points or whatever for our plant?
No, we're not. That's one option that's been discussed. You know,
right.
if our permit comes down that, let's say we have a phosphorus limit, we could look at buying credits from other communities that are below their limit. And so that's an option that's out there. I don't think, and Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think rates have been set necessarily between communities on what their going rate is going to be for phosphorus removal. So if we have to buy phosphorus from another community in the same watershed, I don't believe rates have been out there long enough to be able to say it's going to cost us $10, $100. So that's going to be a little tricky to determine, and how long they're going to be available is still unknown.
Not to mention, the concept of that is utterly ridiculous. I mean, if it's over a limit, why do you get to buy it from somebody else? That just doesn't make any sense.
I really don't think that that'll be around forever, and like Greg said, it's a case-by-case basis as far as wheeling and dealing on that, I guess, if you will. So you never know what you're going to be paying.
Right.
That would be saying we can pollute as much as we want as long as some other community isn't, we can buy their credits. It's just something doesn't seem right there.
Okay, so we got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilman Lozgren to approve SEH, to do a wastewater treatment plan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Clean water grant application. Clean water land and legacy amendment. Chamber. Right?
What we're looking at doing is we're looking at installing a grit chamber. Basically, it collects the sand and pollutants in the storm sewer before it gets into the Mississippi River. We have a total of 19 outfalls into the Mississippi River where our storm sewer dumps into it. Two of those currently have grit chambers that collect the sand, sediment, pollutants, and then another two go through a vegetated swale, so they have grass somewhere to fall on a suspension. We're looking at adding a third one right over here by City Hall. It encompasses about 210 acres, which is the bulk of, it's the largest drainage area that we have for a particular outfall. There is a 25% match for this grant application, but the 25% match can be used with in-kind, so staff services. So if we design it, we can put that toward the 25% match. All in all, it helps clean up the Mississippi River, and it's a good thing for the city. We're estimating that this grit chamber is going to cost approximately $122,000 to install, and so the 25% would be our responsibility. But tonight we're looking for the council's approval to go ahead and apply for that grant, and then authorize staff and Dan to execute the grants should we obtain that funding.
What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Councilman Hansen, second by Councilman Gosiak to approve the grant fund application. Any discussion?
Yeah, I remember a while back, Robin Hensel discussed the possibility of trapping solid pollutants before they entered the river. You know, we were just discussing eliminating phosphorus and nitrogen, and this is another way we can keep that river clean, which benefits us. Good idea.
Yep. And we did try last year. We were unsuccessful, but we're going to keep trying. Change it up, add a little bit more detail to our applications, get feedback from the reviewers to see if, what it is we can change to try to be more successful on getting that funding so that we can put some of these in place.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minnesota Department of Transportation Trunk Highway 27 improvements, utilities, consider, Greg?
Yeah, if you recall, MnDOT was originally going to be resurfacing Trunk Highway 27 through town in 2019. They've been able to do some rearranging of their projects and budgeting to move that project forward to 2018. The project would basically entail taking off 2 inches of blacktop, putting 2 inches of blacktop back down, as well as pedestrian ramps and sidewalk improvements to make sure that they're ADA compliant. Some of the things that we're concerned with is the age of the utilities underneath that stretch. We'd like to try to take advantage of the fact that MnDOT's going to be paying for the surface improvements, you know, the blacktop and some of the curb and gutter, as well as the sidewalk, to replace our sewer and infrastructure underneath the blacktop so that we can get it up to today's standards. The utilities, some date back to the early 1900s. You know, our water was from the 1900s from West 3rd Street to 1st Street, and we have a stretch that's from 1945. So tonight we'd be looking for the council's approval to request MnDOT to upscale their project to allow the city to draw plans and include those plans in their project so that we can get new infrastructure underneath that Trunk Highway 27 area.
What's the wish of the council?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Zelka, a second by Alderman Hercog to approve city staff to send the DOT a letter that we plan to redo underground utilities on Trunk Highway 27.
Correct.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, just we should clarify this, that it has nothing to do with one-way traffic or parking on one side of the street.
That is
We
correct.
are only submitting a letter to request this inclusion.
The inclusion of utility replacement, yes.
Underground utilities. Any other discussion?
Just that it wouldn't make sense for them to do their work and then have us tear it out in 3 years and have to pay for the whole thing ourselves, so
Right.
that's why it makes sense.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2015-66, approve pay grade, positions, point ranges, and established wages, part-time and seasonal employees. Consider. Lori?
Yes, council, with the increase in the minimum wage that went up August 1st, the city needed to look at our step structure and our pay scales for our part-time seasonal employees. So resolution 2015-66 would make the appropriate adjustments to the pay scale to take into effect the minimum wage increase to $9 an hour.
What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2015-66.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gosiak, and a second by Councilman Knappel for resolution 2015-66. Approve pay grade. Any discussion?
This has to be done. According to the state, they raised the minimum wage, so it's kind of cut and dry. And I think it's, as mentioned earlier, say for instance, somebody's been working 5 years and they got their pay up to $9.05, and now with our new minimum wage is $9, that's kind of a slap in the face. So to show our employees that we're willing to give them a little extra as appreciation for their service, I think that's a good idea. To raise that with it.
And what we would propose is that the employees would stay in the same step and pay grade that they were originally in. So their increase will be reflective of that.
Any other discussion? Resolution, call the roll, please.
Hurkacz?
Yes.
Liljegren?
Yes.
Silka?
Yes.
Antler?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Gosiak?
Yes.
Knopfler?
Yes.
Boyer?
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2015-67, authorize execution of grant agreement, land acquisition, Federal Aviation Administration. Greg?
If you recall at some of our recent meetings here, the council approved purchasing land on both the north side of the airport as well as the south side of the airport. This is the grant agreement between the FAA and the city / county for reimbursement of some of those funds. If you remember, this is a 90-10 split with the city and the county picking up 5%. MnDOT has indicated they are willing to split that, so it's going to be 90% feds, 5% state, 2.5% city, and 2.5% county. This agreement basically gets that grant process moving. We've already purchased the property. We've already got approval to purchase. This is just reimbursing ourselves from the FAAs.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2015-67?
I move that we approve whatever it is, 2015-67.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hurkacz, second by Councilman Hanson to approve resolution 2015-67. Any discussion?
Greg, I promise after one full year to never ask you to reiterate it again, but you know what I'm going to ask on the 90% where those tax dollars come from, so that people don't think it's general tax dollars.
It's not general tax dollars. It does come from gas tax out of the airport, fuel from airport sales, as well as the transportation trust fund that is entitled towards aviation. So it does not come from general taxes it doesn't come from general taxes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Resolution, call the roll, please.
Liljegren?
Yes.
Silka?
Yes.
Antler?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Gosiak?
Yes.
Knopfler?
Yes.
Boyer?
Yes.
Hurkacz?
Yes.
Carries.
City council reports on any authorities, boards, bureaus, committees, commissions. Anybody got anything? Announcement, got a planning commission public hearing August 10th, 2015 at 6:30. Consolidated preliminary and final plat application. Mary Ann Karnowski. Over here, 6:30. Other than that, 8:43, we stand adjourned.